So the API from the job site portal hits the core application. And I mentioned the control center, which I showed at the start of the demo. This is where all of those orders flow through to. So essentially, when essentially when things come through from the job site portal, they land in here. So whether it's I want to buy this, I want to rent this, I want to off rent this, this is where it all flows through to. So there's the requisition that I put through. My notes have arrived here as well. So on this kind of dashboard view, day book, whatever you want to call it, everything that is populated in job site portal populates across the system. We can have these notes print on all of the document prints. We can have them appear in the app. So when you're picking the notes that are coming through from your people, transfer across the system. So we're not losing any consistency with the messaging and the communication. You can see at the top, we've got some kind of rich business filters as well. So because this control center has been built out quite a bit over time, we want to try and perhaps condense this down. So if you've got somebody that's responsible for dealing with all the pickups, you can just look at all of the pickups only. If you've got people just working on requisition, so new orders coming in, then you condense down what you're seeing on the screen. So you've got different ways in which you can use the system to filter out. So my next stage is, obviously this has come through. I've had notification that I've had a new order come in. I need to check and see if I've got availability of this. So from a warehouse perspective, so your people now back at the yard would use this product, and they would use this to see all of the orders coming through. They would go ahead and look up to see, right, have we got this thing in the yard, or do I need to go to Sunbelt or United and rent it? So we have this availability tab. So in here, it shows me branch level availability for this product type. So I'm getting real-time data here that tells me I've got 24 in total, 10 out on rent, 5 available, and then we've got various different WIP statuses, which are kind of workflow. So are they currently in logistics? Are they currently in the workshop? Where are they? And then we've got some sub statuses as well. You know, if we've got contracts that have come in before this one and we're pre-reserving equipment, then we can show some numbers around that as well. If for whatever reason I don't have the inventory available, we can also set branches can be linked to divisions and regions. So if I'm in Florida and I've got 5 branches in Florida, I can create a Florida division and create those 5 branches there as part of that region. So I can actually say, right, I want to widen, cast the net out a bit further and look at what I've got in other areas. Or I can look across my entire business. If I've got more branches, I can look and see what I've got available to me. So if I've got some time, I can maybe bring something in from another location, or I can transfer this requisition to another branch. And then you can hit the holdings button there and just get some more granular level information about each individual asset, which branch it's at, and what its current status is in the system. So these ones are on rent, these ones are being picked, these ones are available, etc. The ones in the sort of orange and red are going through the workshop. So you may want to see, oh, this one's only in minor repair. You know, can we get it fixed and can we get it out? So we can start to make those decisions. If you don't have inventory available, then it doesn't matter. We don't need to clear anything down. When we go through and create the contract, which is we just go ahead now and create a rental contract. You can see there if it's a purchase item, or you know you're selling something, then you can create a sales contract. But because this is a rental item, we'll create a rental item. I'll show you in the system here. You can actually create what we call a back-to-back purchase. So we can actually keep the integrity of the internal documentation. So you can have an internal contract number that you send out to the job sites for consistency, but we'll link it to a back-to-back order to Sunbelt because we're going to sub-rent it in from somewhere else. So again, master data information all pulls through. Transactions in the system, other building blocks basically of how things process based on your business workflows. So you can have an immediate dispatch where someone's rocked up in the yard, they're taking a drill off the shelf and they've waved it and said, I'm taking this. You'll take the number down, take the project details and the person's name down, and you can just dispatch it straight out of the system. No picking or anything that needs to go through the apps. You can just very, very quickly, within a couple of minutes, put the contract on and dispatch it all the way through to a full rental logistics flow. So you can actually connect them, the apps up. We can send someone out into the warehouse and pick it, put it on a truck and dispatch the truck, and then get signatures at the other end and take photos on the app when we drop things off. So the transaction is workflow based, and there are so many different ways in which you can configure the workflows based on your business need. And this is, systems become a victim of its own success in various different industries. We've created so many different ways in which you can create a transaction based on how you want it to flow in the system. So just be aware that there's loads of different ways you can do that. If you're renting equipment outside of your own business, I know some of our customers are now doing that, or they're renting equipment to subcontractors. We can actually tie into an AR account record. So if I have a subcontractor, I'm renting this piece of equipment to them, they pay me, I can track their credit history as well. So when I hit the OK button, I mentioned at the beginning of the demo, we can have these hard and soft stops warning pop-ups. This is a milestone. So this guy owes me 2 million. Do I really want to rent him something else? Until he pays his account, I might decide to put him on stop. Or you can just go ahead and hit the I'm good. He's going to pay me on Friday. So that's another feature we can add into the mix in the system here as well. And I won't spend a huge amount of time on it, because really, if you're using the job site portal, there's not really a lot else you need to do. So you'll notice as you go through the tabs, it's all pre-populated. So it knows who the master data that we can bring in from CMIC will know who the project is, all the billing details, everything that's set in CMIC we can bring across, contact details, everything. The bit I'm interested in is on the products tab, which is the item specific information. So this is the requisition we put through. This is the item that we need to deliver out to site. I want to check over and make sure we're all good. So one of the things I wanted to quickly sort of brush over today was around pricing and dynamic pricing as well. So again, if you're holding information in CMIC, or if you want to hold it directly in RentalResult, that's fine. We can have pricing based on item codes. So you can have a standard price list for your equipment based on branch. You can have a standard price list based on item code and project. So it may look and say, you're on this project, so I'm going to charge this rate. And then we can also have specific charging codes and charging calculations as well. So this will default to whatever you set the AR record up in the system against the project. So there's an AR section against every project maintenance. You set that detail up to say, look at this price list when it comes to this customer. So you might be working on a nice prestigious airport job, and this is a really good client, so we're going to give them preferential rates. They spend a lot of money with us every year, so I'm going to charge them $100 a day for this excavator. Another one down the road might have the exact same item code on the requisition, but you might charge them $200 a day. And you can differentiate that based on those parameters in the system, so you don't need to worry about overriding the pricing. The system can cope with all of those different flexible variations with pricing. And on the charge code, you can say, so standard charge is a monthly, day, week, month, or it's a day, week, month best rate basis. We can set the calculations and the labels up in the system however you want them. We can also do max cap as well. So if you want to just recover the 100% of the purchase value of the item, you can do that. We've got some customers that do 120% because they'll take 20% admin fee for all of the stuff you do for them behind the scenes. And then what will happen is once you hit that cap, it will leave the equipment out on rent, but it will just zero out and zero rate on the billing. So they'll see it on there. They'll see a line item on the billing report, but it won't charge anything. So that's what you can do there. You can do an E-code lookup as well. So if you think, right, I want to have a look at see what item I want to put out, you can look up the item codes which are in the system, and you can see what the current value is. So their current net book value, what their cost was. So I bought this for 100 grand. It's aged over 60 periods, and its current value is 55 grand. And if it's out on rent, what its current estimated date of return is. And there's the sub statuses as well. So you can actually start to look at, right, I want to put my best piece of equipment out. I want to put my newest piece, and you can kind of make those decisions here at this point. And then probably the only other thing I want to show you here is extras. So if you want to bake in automatic charges for extras, so delivery charge, pickup charge, installation charge, whatever it is, you can predefine those and set those so they just automatically appear on every contract, again kind of reducing the need to manually enter this information in or miss it. And then you've got an option, checkbox option there, to either include it or remove it off. So there's still a bit of a contention about whether you charge a pickup charge at the beginning or at the end. We have customers doing it various different ways. You can also import requisition lines from a spreadsheet as well. So we built that in for a customer that does scaffold orders, and they put like 500 line items on an order, and they didn't want to do it manually, so, and rightly so. So you can import requisition lines onto your orders from a spreadsheet as well. So I'm good with this now. So I'm going to just go ahead and save it, and this will actually now convert it. And because this guy who I'm renting to owes me, was it 2 million? The system says, right, how is he going to pay you? So we need to put a reason code in. Anywhere you do anything significant in the system will pop up this previewer. So now I can preview a copy of the rental contract. I can email it. I can fax it if you're still using fax machines. So document prints is another thing we've got. So this is just a standard document print. You know, we'll customize these, put your logo in, put your color scheme in, change the layout. As part of something we do as part of implementation, but you can do something significant with those at the milestones as the transactions go on. This pop-up just automatically comes up. So that contract is now on, and when you refresh, it will change the status here. So in Rev again, as I mentioned, everything in real time changes. And then you'll start to see history appear here. So this is now a rental contract. When I dispatch it, there'll be a dispatch. When I invoice it, there'll be an invoice, and you'll start to build up the history of the asset.